I'm going to end here now. And eventually, during the course of this day, I think if we can manage to get this work, we'll try and get it to work. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. Now, if there are any questions from the audience, please. Maybe Dr. Chhat, Professor Chhat, if you have.
It is Sir, it's not a question directly to our speakers. It's basically my observation. We in India we are in a state of confusion. We have become the economies, the societies, whereby we imitate everything from rest of the world. Especially we call some of the countries, the developed countries, maybe they are developed in terms of the economic power or in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the technology that they make use of. But education is always an indigenous commodity. We try to imitate. I fully agree what the discourse has been made by Mr. Pavan early in the morning. We are in a state of confusion. We have changed the purpose of the education. Indian education system was actually the system which was aimed to create the intellectuals, the scholars, the thinkers, the poets. Now we have changed the system, borrowing the model from rest of the world, that we have to create the workers for the corporates. We have linked education to, somehow we have linked the education to job market. So, this kind of confusion that we have in India with regard to education is actually making us fail the system of education. We are borrowing the system from, say, America or rest of the world, where a particular system works within a particular setting of the environment. Each element has to operate within environmental conditions, the standards of the environment, the political environment, social environment, cultural environment, economic environment. These have the greater impact on functioning of a particular organization, particular setting. Environmental conditions in Korea are different. All these conditions, all these environmental conditions in England are different, and we are trying to copy the model from England, model from Korea, and trying to implement in a situation, in a setting which is entirely different, and that's why the failures. We have to think in terms of the purposes of the education. We are in a confusion. On the one hand, we say this is education. We have to produce a poet, a scholar. Definitely, we need to create the future workers as well. But let us define what the purpose of the education now in India is. This economic globalization has created a situation all across the globe, including India, in such a way that we believe now we have to compete in terms of the economy. Leaving aside your culture, your values, the system of the functioning. Therefore, I think Rethink India has done an initiative of determining what should be the future of the schools in India. A debate should be generated by this prestigious organization. What should be the purpose of the education? Do we mean the futuristic schools, all those schools who shall be following the paths which are being shown by our so-called advanced nations? As my friend from technology orientation described how the futuristic schools in India would be, I do not agree in terms of education, in terms of providing knowledge. That system is actually an absolute system. Yes, insofar as competing in making the information available all across the globe, these futuristic schools, based on the technological interventions, will definitely be a success. This was just an observation, not a question to any of my honorable speakers.
Thanks a lot, sir. Ma'am has a question.
I'm Ritu and this is Harvinder. We're from Lotus Valley, Gurgaon. Thank you so much, Mr. Bahadur, and thank you for your feedback as well. I think most of us are here trying to understand of how the schools work across borders, and it's important for us to have a vision because we are looking at a futuristic school here and we're looking at working towards it. So I have a question with your worthy experience for past 11, 12 years in the field of education. Have you seen a transformation from then to now? You know, in the way the schools are working and functioning here. Also, we understood from what you shared, the presentation regarding the UK or Korea, there is a lot of intervention and participation by the government. But unfortunately, as I see, and I'm sure on behalf of everyone sitting here, most of us feel that the government needs to work more. I think it's more about the private institutions and the organizations who are working towards, taking education to another level because we genuinely feel for that. We genuinely feel, and I think I share the same point as you, we do discuss, we talk about it, we want to find a solution, but unfortunately we're not able to, despite lots of discussion. So for you, for the couple of years that you've been in the same field, do you see a transformation? Do you see it progressing? And is there something that we as the futuristic school people can do to really participate more extensively than what we are doing? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. And I agree with sir what you said. I think education is something that is very, very indigenously. It has to be done, at keeping the local context in mind. But however, I think there's always an opportunity to learn from best practices, and I think the more we observe what everyone else is doing will also kind of inform us in terms of what possibilities lie in terms of what can be done. Coming back to your question, have I seen any transformation? Fortunately for me, I have in the past few years got an opportunity to travel extensively across the country and visit a large number of schools, and I have seen some amazing schools during my present and previous, due to my previous work profiles. And I think yes, I think and I kind of agree with something that I had to present today for the English education system. I think the school is as good, I think, as the school leader is. And that has been my experience in having seen schools across the country. I have seen a school in a small town called Fagwara in Punjab, which is about an hour away from Amritsar, and has students coming in from 5 different villages, which has embraced technology like I have not seen schools done in Delhi and Mumbai. They have partnered with 30 different schools across the world. They do Skype sessions with schools, with these schools, one Skype session every week, and I think we've had this conversation previously in some other location. So what I can say here is that I think futuristic school, what does that mean is something for you to debate and decide. It's not for me to comment. I think it will mean different things to different people. Does it mean that the children studying in the village get the true knowledge that they need to succeed in their environment? Or does it mean that students in the Ivy League schools, so-called Ivy League schools, have smart desks and tables to write on and design and use design thinking to plan their education? I don't know that. I don't. In a country like India, it's going to be very hard for, at least for me, to give a definition of a futuristic school. But I think what I can talk about is, like you said, the transformation that I've seen in schools. And I think given the changing rules and regulations, if I may say, across how they apply to the education sector, I think it is still the school leaders who stand out and take up upon themselves to bring in that transformation. So I think I have seen that. So I think if there is a discussion on futuristic school, I think we have to identify those school leaders and involve them and have them give their ideas for what can be futuristic school. Thank you.
Hi Arjun, I'm Ashutosh from Thoughts Lab. My question is specific to the usage of brain research studies and neurocognition in planning the academic curriculum outcome. Is the academic curriculum or the academician there sensitive to look at brain researches and neurocognition to plan the academic curriculum progression and plan the learning outcomes?
Thank you for your question, sir. And it's a hard one for me to answer. I'll be honest up front. I cannot profess to know that degree of understanding of how the curriculum is being designed in England. But anything I say is based on my understanding and not on facts. I would not like to do that. But that's something, if you can connect with me, I can find out and we can take it offline and discuss it. But how the curriculum is being designed and what are the inputs that go into designing that curriculum is something I will have to look at from my perspective of understanding myself and then come back to you on that. However, you do realize that I did mention that there is a national curriculum which some schools have to follow, but then there are other schools that are free to design their own curriculum. And so it might be different ways that these curriculums get designed by schools which are not following the national curriculum. They all have to pass the inspection by Ofsted in terms of ensuring minimum standards for curriculum. So I'm sure there is a scientific way that this is being done, and I'll be happy to come back to you on that once I have the answer myself. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bahadur. I have a direct question to you. Actually, I have the privilege working in London for 12 years, both in state schools and private sector and high school sector, William Patton and Stoke Intermediate Arts and Science College. In UK education system, special education needs schools are very, very important, and they've been recognized by the Ofsted as well. But in India, there is no special educational needs school. Probably there are few in metro cities, but not in the small cities where I am from. My school is now in India, Irish World School, Karimnagar, Telangana. So how can special educational needs can be implemented in the mainstream schools? Because as an institutional head, I am dealing with it every single day. There are few students who are actually coming from that background, but the parents are in denial. And I cannot put them in the mainstream education, but at the same time, they need to be educated. So is there anything that British Council can conduct a workshop or any guidance or any help that can be implemented in our schools? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I guess it is not relating to the England education system, and honestly, I cannot really comment on how it can be implemented across India. It's not my place to say so, but yes, as British Council, we do take that very, very seriously. We have programs where we do work with schools and where we can, so I would be happy to connect with you offline and explore how the British Council can work with you. But having heard you say something, it's just triggered a thought on me, and I think I was at a seminar in December last year where we had an expert talking about special education needs, and one of the things she said was that till we don't try and change our mindset, it says, how do I make this special education need student fit into my school? Two, how do I make my school accessible to everyone? I think till we don't bridge that gap, we're going to struggle with the question that you're struggling. And when you said that you cannot take them in your school because they're not equipped, I think therein lies the problem that you've articulated. I think the problem is not with the student who is specially, who needs, especially able. It is with the school which is not equipped to handle that student. So I think that is a gap that one has to bridge, and I think that's the approach that will come from. So I'll be happy to connect with you offline.
I think this session has certainly opened up the debate, which was the innate purpose of this convention. Like what should be the definition of a futuristic school, and we are getting shades across the spectrum. Thanks a lot for our panelists for this wonderful exhortation from their respective school education systems. I would now request Dr. Neerja Bore from the Madhya Pradesh State School Board to do the honors of Dr. Moon Lee. Ma'am, please. Please come to the stage. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for reminding us about the Korean educational system. This is just a token of thanks from this august house. Dr. Neerja Bore has come from the Madhya Pradesh State School Board, and ma'am will be honoring Dr. Moon Lee. I would now request our patron, Mr. Neeraj Sharma, to just come on the dais and do the honors for Mr. Bahadur, who has such eloquently expressed the entire British education system in all its shades. Thanks a lot, sir, and we would certainly play the video. It's certainly an honor to have you in this convention and get illumined by this. And this is just the end of a grand beginning which we are trying to have over here. Thanks a lot. Now we move on to a very interesting session of ours where the leaders in the educational technology space would be coming and deliberating upon as to how the edutech initiatives across the spectrum can be synthesized and synergized. The issue is synthesis into the core educational curriculum. So the theme of our next session is strategizing for eclectic learning outcomes, integrating external educational solutions into core academic operations for ensuring the realization of eclectic learning outcomes is much needed for a diversified world today. I would now like to invite Mr. Rishi Khemka, who chooses to call himself as the Chief Enjoyment Officer at Mindbox. So why he chooses that would probably be unraveling it in his address. We also have with us Mr. Angad Jyot Singh Chaini, who is the Associate Vice President with the Next Education. Sir, please. We have with us Mr. Ashutosh Khurana, who is the co-founder and CEO of Thoughts Lab, which claims to accentuate higher order thinking. And we really witnessed in person about his experiments which he's doing out there. I would also like to invite Mr. Ajay Sakhamuri, who is the founder and CEO at myclassboard.com, to also join in this session. And yes, while we are going on the futuristic technological paradigms, we have the doyen of education from the Oxford University Press, the real classical ones. We have Mr. Sanjoy Majumdar, who is the Associate Director at Oxford University Press India, to also join in over here. So the format to all the audience August panelists out there would be, sir, we will just leave the stage open for a 5 to 7 minute opening remarks from each one of you, and then post that in whatever fashion you are fine with that, like Mr. Khemka would like to present a small video. So we have a jugaad for that because that video is on an Apple, and so my camera person would just play it on the camera. It can be just exposed over here, and then I'll put a mic on this Bose of mine. So whatever format, we will just start off in that sequence and take this session forward. So Mr. Khemka, you are most welcome. Arbasa, the video.
Good afternoon.
In 2025, the children in school today will be adults, when tomorrow's technology meets the adults of tomorrow. Will it empower them to achieve more than they ever thought possible? Or will it displace them by phasing them out of the workforce? That depends on the education the children of today get and how creatively empowered today's children grow to become. In school education today, the process of education takes precedence over creativity, and learning takes a back seat to getting good grades. We need a more collaborative and output-based approach, a program to provide experiential learning for making students better prepared for tomorrow, one that teaches children creative thinking as a subject, visual communication as a language, and using technology as a tool to break them out of the standardized teaching process. Introducing MindBox, a creative education program that develops a child in all aspects, not just academics. MindBox is a creative education program serving grade 1 to 12 that acts as a catalyst subject, offering complete 360-degree solutions in creativity and learning. With over a decade in the creative media and entertainment industry, the MindBox team has developed what is quickly becoming known as India's best program on creative education. From creativity and design thinking to mechatronics design to digital design and beyond, MindBox improves students' lives by empowering them. Children can learn, practice, and bring their creative thoughts to life. Every curriculum is different depending on a child's interests and passions as they grow each grade. With professionally certified faculty and inclusion in national and international level competitions, MindBox children get more out of their education using experiential and output-based learning methodology. To learn more and see if MindBox is right for your classroom, simply reach out at info@mindbox.in or visit us on our website at www.mindbox.in and start the conversation to learn what taking the next step is all about.
Hi. After that short video that you saw, I just wanted to start my short address, with the question of why. And the question of why MindBox happened and why it came into being. And it came from a thought where we see children in schools consuming a lot of information around subjects which is based on the curriculum. And we test them on that information. And as we go along, most of us, including me, don't remember what I learned in school. We kind of forget it as we go into our life. And what we saw was that you actually need to apply what you're learning in order to remember it. And why that is important is because we live in an economy or in a world today which is innovation centric. We moved from a manufacturing economy to a knowledge economy, so-called in the pre-internet era, and now we are moving to the innovation economy. And in the innovation economy, it's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know that's going to be important. So what we did was we put together the whole curriculum, and we saw how we could use this by experiential learning and use various methodologies and various tools which kids could use to actually learn grade by grade what they could be learning around English or around math, around science, and they could learn technology and life skills at the same time. So it's what we call, and I heard the term interdisciplinary, which is what it is. And for the kids, it's something that they love to do. And I've had children come up to me and say, I learned trigonometry, or I'm learning, calculus. I don't know why I'm learning. And if they know why they're learning and by applying, then they want to go and learn more. And what you create there by doing this is a thinking brain rather than a consuming brain. And when you create a thinking brain, you create creators rather than consumers. So that's what our purpose was. So what we do with schools is we've created activity permissive learning environments, what we call as APLE, where we work with schools, curriculum fully designed by us, and it's aligned to the boards, and we provide the content, the tools, even the teacher to the schools, and who run it inside the school like a normal class period. We feel this is something, and there could be many right answers. I mean, I would say this is not the only way we should look at it. There could be many different ways how we could teach children. we chose this way because this spoke to us a lot. And for us, it's very important to teach experientially because that creates outputs, but also because experientially it's something which we learn the most. It's like, for me, it's like reverse engineering learning, and you will not teach children how to drive a car by a textbook. You will not teach children how to ride a bicycle by a textbook and testing them on that textbook. Like, here is the clutch, here is the accelerator, this is what the steering does, and now go out and drive a car. So for us, it's important that we give them information which they consume, but we also give them applied learning for that so that they can understand how to go out and apply that in the real world. So that's something that we believe in, because for us and for all of us, life is actually a practical, it's not a theory. So that's what we do at Mindbox. Thank you.
I would request Mr. Angad